here with another video. Let's let some people get in. Hopefully we get started soon. Hopefully the government is open. I'm here for an update with, what is her name? I'm sitting all far back, sorry. With the David and Celeste update. My last video about them, we talked about a third possible defendant. Everyone here is innocent to prove guilty. D4VD has not been charged with anything, and neither has his friends, but the updates are still the updates. So we talk about Neo, the agent, the personal assistant of D4VD, and we talk about their relationship. Was it a triangle? Was it, what is that? Was David just dating two people at the same time? But Asian, what is that? What's his name? It's so weird, I'm forgetting it. What's his name? Neo the Asian, yes. I'm like something kind of racist for him. Neo the Asian, his personal assistant of DV40, was with him around the time of the disappearance / the car was found, and he got on that tour bus with him. So all of this stuff played around the same time. And so, yeah, he might be another defendant because he had access to both houses and both of the cars. So that part. But now, to add more to the story, DV4V, they looked into his Facebook account, I believe, or his Instagram, and there are more pictures of Celeste and him and another 19-year-old underage girl at the time, and they went to Disneyland. So, yeah, so DV4V just turned 20, what is that, this year. So who was the adult to compliment these three minors, DB4V, Celeste, and her friend? Celeste was found in DB4V's trunk of his car a couple months back. So we're trying to figure out what happened to her. Was other people in this foul play besides DV4V? And so we're gonna watch Crime and Law, and he's gonna tell you about all of this stuff that went on and how was they able to find this extra evidence with Celeste and DV4V. So let's take a look at it.
A new development in the David Celeste Hernandez story, and it centers on a Build-A-Bear certificate, a roller coaster, and an apparent trip to Six Flags. Private investigator Steve Fisher, who we've had on the show before, who is actually investigating this case, says that this could be a key moment in understanding what may have happened to Celeste. This detail could completely reframe the timeline and show that Celeste maybe wasn't just missing, but maybe was with somebody. We're going to dig into this and more right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Also, I gotta say, if anybody's been following us here on Sidebar for the last, 2 months or so, we have been on top of this David story from the very beginning. We are trying to hit you with any kind of update here, so we know exactly what happened here to Celeste Hernandez. And I will just say, the reason that we can do this is not only because of the amazing support that we get from all of you out there, and thank you so much for that, but also it's the support that we get from our incredible sponsor, Morgan.
Okay, we're gonna fast forward through that, and
a 14-year-old.
Oh my God, here they go with this thing right here.
Celeste Hernandez out in Los Angeles. This all started, as you may know, when a Tesla in Hollywood was towed, and officers then discovered human remains in the trunk. The body was later identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who had been reported missing months earlier from Lake Elsinore. Now, the Tesla was registered to 20-year-old singer David, real name David Anthony Burt, the Houston-born artist behind the hit Romantic Homicide. To be clear, no one has officially been named a suspect. There have been no arrests. David, again to be clear, has not officially been implicated in any wrongdoing or any crime. But obviously, there are questions. There are questions about David's connection to Celeste. There are questions about what this relationship could have been. When did he see her last? Did he see her? And these questions have never gone away. Social media lit up with claims of a possible relationship between the two, right? Apparent matching tattoos, maybe private messages, a rumored unreleased song with her name in the title. TMZ had reported at one point in time that those around David believed that Celeste was 19 years old, and now we have this new development, this Six Flags trip, which we want to talk about. But real quick, that Hollywood Hills home, which was near where the Tesla was found, that quickly became a centerpiece of this investigation. LAPD executed a search warrant. They collected electronics, maybe even searched drains, maybe photographed the different rooms. But not everything was taken. And that is where private investigator Steve Fisher had entered the picture. Now, Fisher was hired by the property's owner, the landlord, who said he was frustrated by what he called a lack of information from law enforcement about what role that property, his property, may have played in all this. And again, to be clear, this was a property that was leased apparently to David's manager, and David had...
So yes, my bad. It was Six Flags. Six Flags over California, not / Magic Mountain, not Disney World. My bad. Six Flags Magic Mountain, not Disney World. So, and the house was rented by the manager, not David. So yeah, that part.
Staying there. And again, this property was near the Tesla. So what does he do? He brings in Steve Fisher to conduct his own review of what was left behind. And now, Steve, who we've had on this program before, says he found something strange. Something that could maybe reshape the timeline of this case. During his investigation, Steve Fisher says that he uncovered a Build-A-Bear certificate that was made out to a girl named Esmeralda, dated April 21st, 2024. So that is just 16 days after Celeste was reported missing. And that date stood out because on that same day, April 21st, David had apparently posted a TikTok video riding a roller coaster that appeared to have been filmed at Six Flags Magic Mountain. There is a Build-A-Bear located inside Six Flags. So you put those facts together, right? A Build-A-Bear certificate for a child, a TikTok filmed at Six Flags, then 13-year-old girl, because she was 13 at the time, who had been reported missing. Six Flags, they require guests under 15 to be accompanied by a chaperone aged 21 or older. So the questions now become, who was that chaperone? Who was Celeste with that day? If that person was David, what does that mean? Does it mean that the story of what happened to Celeste is maybe even more disturbing than anyone realized? We don't know. But we're going to be speaking to Steve Fisher in a minute to get some clarity on all this. And also a lot of misinformation he says is out there, and things that have been attributed to him that he says he didn't really say. So,
Well, let's clear it up. Let's get the facts from fiction. Was there two houses? We know there were two cars. Are they going to say there was two cars? And what was Neo, the Asian, relationship with DV4V? Were they in a romantic relationship? Those pictures that I showed you earlier was very, very close and telling. And some of the shirts that they wore was very telling. So, yeah, let's see. Let's get into this video. Get ready.
I want to get some clarity there. And we'll get into what the Six Flags development means and the timeline and any kind of other updates he may have. But to understand why this new Six Flags discovery matters so much, I just want to go back to where the case first broke wide open, okay? September 8th, 2025, a Tesla that had been sitting at a tow yard in Hollywood was inspected after workers noticed a foul smell. Inside the front trunk, officers found human remains that were apparently wrapped in plastic. That car was registered to David. The remains were identified as Celeste. Her body was apparently decomposed, and while the official cause of death is still deferred, police said they haven't ruled out foul play. However, based on comments from law enforcement, it's possible there may not even be a crime other than concealing the body. But since then, the investigation has focused a lot on that Hollywood Hills home where David had been living. And that is where private investigator Steve Fisher has spent months retracing every step. What was taken, what wasn't, what those overlooked details might reveal, who may have been driving that Tesla. If you've been following our coverage, you'll remember that Steve has shared a lot during his investigation. He uncovered some deeply unsettling details. He explained that there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of Celeste, describing the evidence as scary, sadistic stuff. Steve says he's been able to track the Tesla's movements, understand who had access to the property, recover photos, videos that help place people at the home at certain times. He's also been in contact with neighbors, reviewed digital media, gathered information that was handed directly to LAPD. All right, so now I want to bring on a special guest. I want to welcome back on to Sidebar Steve Fisher. Now, Steve is the private investigator who is hired by the...
So yeah, they said people, and the people was Agent Neo, the personal assistant. So you know anything about personal assistants that have access to people's houses, to access to people's cars, files, social media. As soon as David, DB4B, was questioned about the body of Celeste in his car, Agent Neo unfollowed him and just had stopped all contact with him after the alleged event of the body being found in the car. So let's get into the evidence, and hopefully we can find who did this, or who, or all the people who did it very soon. So yeah, this is just a quick video to get up to speed on what's going on. So.
That property, the landlord, where David had been staying at. To be clear, it wasn't David on the lease, it was his manager, but we know that David had been staying there, and that property was close to the Tesla. So Steve, so good to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot's happened since the last time we talked. I mean, let's talk about this. You have uncovered something regarding this apparent Six Flags trip. I mentioned it a little bit before, that you found this Build-A-Bear certificate in the name of Esmeralda that was dated, I believe, April 21st. So this is just about, 16 days after Celeste was reported missing, that David had apparently posted a TikTok at a roller coaster on the same day. What is this? If I got anything wrong, please let me know. But what does this detail suggest to you?
No, so that's right. So, he posted that TikTok, and it can, match that up to where it's a roller coaster called Scream at Six Flags. And Six Flags has a Build-A-Bear, a shop there, and them at different theme parks, them at Knott's and whatnot. And I know some people are confused about that, but he was at Six Flags that day, and at the house, which is, I think, the important part that some people are losing sight of, is that we found the certificate at David's house, and it's in the name Esmeralda, and it's dated the same day, the 21st, that he was at Six Flags, and and then just a few days later, Celeste is photographed at Esmeralda's high school graduation, and this is all during the time that Celeste is reported as a missing person.
So does that give you a time of when she may have been alive?
Well, yeah, so, this is going back, a year, but this is right after she went missing. So we've all been under the impression that she's been gone, over a year, but there's these times that we're now finding out, well, was she missing, or was she a missing person, so the family or whoever would get in trouble for her not being in school, or there would be a CPS report, investigation opened right away. It appears that they knew where she was at, and she showed up at graduation. She's showed up now at this Six Flags along with a cousin, and then she shows up in September arguing with neighbors at her own home. So and the family has a responsibility to report that to law enforcement. If you have an open missing persons case on a minor, you have any contact with them, you gotta report that.
And was this information that has just recently been discovered by you? Is this something that you believe the family or law enforcement knew beforehand?
I don't know if, so we discovered it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess, not long after the search warrant took place, but I don't know if they really had reason. I don't know what the scope of that search warrant even was, so I don't know if it's something that they would have been looking for, or even after, they know that we know about it. I don't know if it's of any value to their investigation. I don't know if they're even investigating, or if they even care if people knew that Celeste really wasn't a missing person. I just think it's important for the overall story, to be told that, there were people that knew, and possibly people that could have intervened in this situation.
And to be clear, has this detail, given you a better understanding of what the possible relationship is or was between David and Celeste? Does it give you a time frame of maybe when they had last spoke or last had contact, if that's at all what's going on?
The last spoke or contact, it doesn't really help with that. So far, the last that I have proof of is January 2nd. Now, that's what I have proof of. I don't know what LAPD has. I don't know what some of her friends might have text messages from her. But what I have is January 2nd. But I think what it does show is that there was a relationship. They were doing things, social things, and she was out of school. She was on, she had dropped out. She was in, I think, 7th grade. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is really serious stuff, and I think it's sad that it was allowed to continue, and that's, I don't know why it was allowed to continue, but it was, and I think people knew where she was at, and it also makes me think that as soon as the news came out that a body had been found in David's Tesla, I think that family probably knew exactly who it was right away.
All the police wanted to sleep with girlfriend.
Well, so there you have it. There's more evidence of the David and Celeste case. There's proof that David and D4VD, or whatever his name is, he did know Celeste. So that's out, that this random body just appeared in his car, that he just randomly just put this person in his car. So they know each other. There's tattoos, there's evidence of them hanging out even before her demise, and yeah. And so the parents were saying that, she's been gone a year, but that is not true. She came home one time to visit the family. She came home another time. We went to a graduation, and she's going to theme parks and bringing her friends from the neighborhood that she grew up with to the theme park with her. So somebody had to say something about, everybody's posting pictures. Celeste and this girl Esmeralda is posting pictures of her and Celeste together at Six Flags Magic Mountain in California. So people knew where she was, and we know that the parents knew, and now you guys know that the parents knew where she was and what she was doing, and she was dating this other singer guy, and they just let her do it because he was famous and he had some money. So now they got to pay the consequences. So that's what it is. So thank you for tuning in to the Rose Gold Pink Show. I think I'm gonna keep this name. I like it. Until next time, this was just a brief update on the David and Celeste saga. So please like and subscribe, and you guys have a great day. Bye.